Coming up, let's dive into the inbox.
You're listening to Double Time, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Shaun Priest.
Hey, Shaun Priest, happy Feedback Day.
Oh, happy feedback. Well done. Happy feedback to you, Stephen Scott. How are you doing?
I am good, I'm good. Yes, today, the F in Mr. F.
Mr. F.
stands for feedback.
God bless you, Mr. Feedback. Or
Yeah.
Mr. Faff. I quite like that.
I liked Mr. Faff. I'll be honest, that was my favourite of them all as well. But yeah, I decide nothing around here, so it's fine. Look, let's just dive right in because there's some great emails I want to get to today, as there always is.
Email. We get email. We get your email every day.
Ding dong.
Here's your mail today.
Were you happy with that then? I have to ask you now.
Very happy with that. Thank you. Yes.
Are you?
Can you fade that bed out a little bit quicker, Stephen Scott? I don't want to be critical, but that goes on a bit.
Why? It's the music. It's the plinky plonky music. In fact, do you know I'm going to turn it up now?
Don't fade it up.
I'm going to turn it up louder. I'm going to turn it up so loud I can't hear you.
Just to annoy me.
Brilliant. Oh, don't go away. Don't go away. Then I'm just left with Shaun. Okay. Look,
Wow.
that changed the tone rather quickly, didn't it?
First email.
Let's jump in. Kristi's up first.
Hi guys. I feel a bit stupid and like I should know this, but then realised I must not be alone in my confusion. These are the troubles of living in a community without an Apple Store, no ability to see pictures or videos, and not being around other people who are techies, so I reach out to you. Could you kindly explain exactly what MagSafe means, the types of accessories one could add with MagSafe, and maybe what your setup is like? I realise it is magnets on the iPhone that align it to a charger, but the more I hear of accessories that are MagSafe compatible, the more I'd like to know more about the entire system. Thank you kindly, Kristi in Kamloops.
Kristi, not a silly question. Please do not ever think there's such a thing as a stupid question, because I guarantee you someone else will be thinking exactly the same thing. And the fact that you've asked it makes them feel better. So absolutely ask the question. That's what it's all about here. Shaun, I'm going to hand it to you first.
I knew you'd do
Well,
that.
everyone says I always
Unbelievable.
interrupt you and I talk over you and I talk too much. So, right, fine. Over to you.
Thanks. Okay. Yes,
See how I
MagSafe.
go with that one?
Yeah, well done. Was first introduced by Apple, and it is exactly what you said it was, Kristi. It is a ring of magnets on the back of the iPhone, which allows it to align to a wireless charger. Well, I would say that's the main purpose of it. So you have a MagSafe charger, which also has magnets in it. Then you have the MagSafe compatible iPhone, which has magnets on the back of it. And when you bring the two together, they snap together and perfectly align, meaning that you no longer put your iPhone down on a wireless charger and find out an hour later that, oh, you didn't put it in the right place. So that's the main thing I personally think when I think of MagSafe, but you are absolutely right as well in saying that there are MagSafe accessories, such as cases and wallets, which use the same magnet system to lock onto the back of your iPhone. So it's simply a way of connecting things to the back of your iPhone.
Yeah, that's it.
Is that okay, Stephen? Is that
I
all
loved
right
it.
with you?
I thought it was the best
good.
explanation I've ever heard of MagSafe.
Thank you. Thank you. Carry on.
I've nothing to add. I mean, that's it. Well, I mean, it is, right? And the one thing that, and a lot of people who have been going for the iPhone 16e will be learning if they don't know already, and this is why I kind of mention it every time I talk about the 16e, it doesn't have MagSafe. So for me, as someone who's bought a lot of these accessories, and one of the benefits for me is just having the phone available to me. I mean, I don't really need to see it, but it's not about me seeing it necessarily on the stand. It is about the Face ID being able to see me.
Yes.
So, having the phone up on a stand, and you can, of course, buy stands. I mean, Apple sells stands. You can buy third-party stands for the 16e that will do exactly the same thing. But there's always that chance the phone might fall off the stand or not quite measure itself up. I mean, I remember when MagSafe first came out, I think I remember at the time getting all excited saying this is charging for the blind, because the phone is essentially connecting itself to the charger. You don't have to go and try and plug a cable in or try and line up with a charger, because in the early days, if you remember, and it's still the case for certain phones today, sometimes you can try and line up on those little round circular chargers or whatever. Yeah. And it just never, you got to wait for the phone to speak to say charging. But you could easily knock that. It could come off that easily.
Or your phone's dead already. and you're trying to
And
charge
you don't
it up,
know. That's
if
right.
you don't get that beep or charging announcement, you have no idea. Yeah, absolutely. And of course, MagSafe, as I said, was initially introduced by Apple, but the Qi 2 wireless charging standard, which is what everything else will be using, also now has the same, I don't think they call it MagSafe, they probably can't, but it's the same thing. They have the same magnets to align its system. So lots of other phones, Android phones and other chargers are now having the same magnet system.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant that it's going to get into Android phones as well.
Yeah.
So that's cool. But yeah, I must admit, I do like it. I think it's a great feature. It's the thing that kind of held me away from going down the iPhone 16e route, if I'm honest. I still don't really know why they didn't include it.
Yeah, well, you should say that as well. You can get MagSafe cases. So you simply buy a case for your 16e, put it on your 16e, and it has the magnets on the back of the case rather than in the phone itself.
But to be clear, the way that works is it actually blocks
the
the
same.
USB port, doesn't it? Because you have to put the case inside the case at the base of it. There will be a little USB-C plug that you connect the phone into.
No.
Because how do you charge the phone otherwise?
You're thinking of a battery case, really. No, you can just get a normal flimsy, bumper case. The magnets are sewn into the back, and it just aligns the wireless charger to the coil, because
see.
the 16e still has wireless charging. Excuse me while I clear my throat.
Yeah, but hang on. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Why not just put the MagSafe in there? I don't get it. I don't get the reason
To
for that.
save cents and pennies and dollars.
Oh,
I
come
don't
on.
know,
I mean,
but
really?
it still has wireless charging, just doesn't have the magnets in there.
Probably because they don't want to cannibalize their own hardware. They want to have a reason. And to me, it's a reason not to buy it. That's the truth of it. It's a reason to, if I imagine there are many people out there who don't care, who will happily plug their phone in every day, irrespective.
It is healthier for your battery to plug it in than use wireless charging.
Well, and also it's faster, isn't it? It's faster
It is
charging than a
faster.
cable.
Yep.
So yeah, I can see the value in it, but like I say, if you spend a lot of money or just spent on those little stands or whatever, it is really useful. It's fantastic, and of course, the other benefit to MagSafe as well is not just charging, but there are many new accessories coming out that you can buy.
Is there?
Yeah, you can buy hard disks now. You can buy hard drives, little hard drives. There's a circular one actually, which is exactly like a MagSafe charger, a large circular.
Hard drive.
Circle, and it's a hard drive. Yeah, that's the order. Thank you. And well-rounded. That's what they call us here at Double Tap. Well-rounded. Just a MagSafe. And
Okay.
yeah, you can get that. You can plug it in. It does connect. It doesn't transfer wirelessly. You have to connect it to the bottom of the phone. So it comes with this kind of little cable that comes down and then curls into the USB, and then you plug that into the bottom of the iPhone, and you can then access a hard drive. But it's just a way of storing it nice and elegantly.
Oh, carrying it. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, there's lots of other things. Like I know for creators, there's more stuff like this coming out, like tripods that you can get MagSafe mounts for. You can even get a MagSafe mount for your monitor, so that you could use the continuity features, the continuity cam. If you have a Mac, you can then use your iPhone as a webcam. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know why you would do this, but I suppose it again saves a few quid. You don't have to go out and buy a webcam, because actually the best camera you own is going to be in the iPhone, right?
Yeah,
we say this all the time.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
It's a lot of people say to me when they're making a show, they say, "I want to make a podcast or I want to do an interview," and I'm like, "Look, I know the temptation is to go out and spend money on microphones, because people will say, well, you must have the best and the finest of everything.' It's a lot of nonsense. You've got some great stuff there, and look at all these TikTok videos. Look at all the stuff that we've been talking about in the past. People are just sitting talking to their phones.
Yeah.
It does the job, and oftentimes it's the software that you might be using that will do the cleanup of audio for you. So if you want to make a TikTok video or an Instagram video or whatever it is, you don't have to sit there with a professional setup to do it. In fact, it's funny, sometimes when we've done them, very occasionally we've done those kind of videos for promotional stuff, we just use our phones.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And a lot of the work is done by positioning it. Making sure you have got a mount to put the phone on. The amount of times we try to hold a phone up by a book or whatever it may be, some can of drink, and it just falls over halfway through. The mount is half the work.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes sense. Actually, you know what? I was wrong, Stephen Scott. There are MagSafe accessories. I am sorry. Carry on.
Well done, Shaun. Okay, let's move on. Nicole's up next.
Hello there. It's Nicole calling from Saskatoon. I have a question about seeing AI. it has document detection off, and it defaults to off for every scan. So if there are multiple scans of like multiple pages in a document, it will turn off at every scan. So I wanted to know so then it reads like, before this new interface, it had the short text, and so it's reading now like short text, and if I want it to take a picture, I need to put document detection on. And I didn't think it was such a big deal until it misread a really important piece of mail, which I threw out because I didn't realize that it was something important, because it's just really not good to use this Seeing AI anymore, not like it used to be. And I sent something like a feedback to Seeing AI, but I haven't heard anything, and of course nothing has changed. So I guess I'm calling to find out if anyone else has had this difficulty and how to correct it. Okay, enjoy your program so much. You've helped me a lot. Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Nicole. We hope we can continue to help you with this. Obviously, this new interface has upset a few people, hasn't it? Because it has changed things around. It's the worst thing you can do in some ways for blind people. Stop moving everything around. We get used to it being this way. We get to know how many swipes it is to do this, and then suddenly it all changes again. It's kind of the world we live in now with new interfaces. But document detection, it has to be turned on, doesn't it? Because ultimately when you're going into that read area now of Seeing AI, you're kind of choosing what you want it to do, whether it be because it's going straight into short text reading.
And it still does, as far as I know, even
does.
with document guidance or whatever it's called turned on. So document guidance, let's call it that, it tells you when it can see all four corners of your letter or the paperwork, whatever it may be, and automatically takes a picture when it thinks it's the right distance and it can see the most of it and everything's in frame. So yeah, it's really good when you want to do a more accurate OCR. You're absolutely right. And I did look into this, and I've been through the settings, and I tried, scanning a couple of things in succession, and no, it won't remember its setting. It does turn off. So I don't think there is a way around that. What you're looking for is something like batch scanning, it sounds like, and that isn't supported as far as I can tell. So,
No.
I don't think there's an answer to that unless our listeners know better.
Well, I know the app I use, which has the most unfortunate name, and that is VD Scan, also known as Voice Dream Scanner, which has been around for a while. But it did shorten that name. I don't know if that was when the Applause Group took over. I have to say, the worst name for a company I've ever heard, considering all they seem to get are boos from people I hear about. But we'll let them speak for themselves. But I will say, the VD Scan is the one I still go to scan documents, because what I like is, it can do the whole lineup thing. I was telling you the other day, or last week, I think, about the challenges I've been having. And one of the biggest issues is lining the phone up to do it. So what I actually was told to do by a friend of mine was actually just place if it's a letter or a piece of mail, put it on the floor between my feet, and then hold the phone directly down so that I would then be capturing, the document. And it would give the camera enough room to be able to see the document, the full document, and be able to scan it. And that has actually worked pretty well for me. So that's my kind of trick, really. I
believe that friend was me, Stephen Scott.
Oh, was it you? I do not remember you ever saying something useful like that in your life.
It will ignore your feet, and you just hold the phone
unless
on
there's
your
something written on your slippers. I don't think I do.
Yeah, I can't really help with that, with the specific problem of that.
Well, someone else may be able to help. Now, speaking of scanning, here's Stan.
Hello, Stephen. Hello, Shaun. This is Stan Warren Luttrell, and I know I left you a message earlier, but you always provide information that makes me want to respond. So for that reason, I hate your program.
Thanks,
but I
Thanks,
don't
Stan.
hate it. But I just, have to put this forward. Now, you mentioned about finding out about DocuScan Plus. And, of course, Remote Incident Manager, and I've been a customer of Ceratec for years, or whatever they call themselves now. And one of the interesting things is not only with, you were talking about how expensive it is, but not really, because whenever I purchased it, and I was at like $299, but Open Book, when I purchased it, was almost $1,000. So I think that's what you have to consider. Another thing is that you can have other products through Ceratec. They have an email client that is absolutely wonderful that you could also use. I don't use it, but I hate Gmail, so maybe it might be a possibility. But anyway, that's just another thing to add to the list. Anyway, have a great day and take care. Wishing you and Shaun all the best. Bye.
And to you, Stan.
Thank you, Stan.
Safe scanning out there.
Safe scanning, Stan.
Safe scan. That doesn't. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on.
No, so Stephen Scott, DocuScan from Pneuma, I believe it's called now.
Pneuma Solutions. Yes.
Pneuma. Sorry. Pneuma Solutions. You said it was too expensive, did you?
Oh, probably, yeah. But I think everything's too expensive these days because the problem is that everyone wants me to buy everything. I do have the fortune to be able to see the fortune. I mean, that just sounds like I've got a pile of money lying in the corner. I don't.
You do have a fortune.
I do have a fortune. No, I don't. But I did have the fortune to trial and actually test this software out. And I am very impressed by it, I've got to say. And it's funny, I think I might have mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, Stan, but the thing about this software is when you start using something like this and it's built by blind people for blind people, there's a sense of relief almost instantly when you use it. Like when you tab around, everything kind of makes sense. It's accessibility and usability collide. I believe it was a Def Leppard song actually back in the day when accessibility and usability collide. It's a big hit.
Not.
Yeah. Or was it
no,
Love and
you were
Hate?
so
I can't remember.
You're so right, though. I know exactly what you mean. The navigation makes sense. It's so weird, to say that, but it just does. As a screen reader user, there's nothing worse than saying, right, where am I now? Have I jumped to the tabs at the bottom, or this makes no sense? And you got to remember the layout. It's so nice when it just makes sense out of the box. And Stan is absolutely right. When you think of, Kurzweil 1000, the Open Book was the example he gave. Absolutely right. $299 actually, especially in that case, you're serious about scanning, right? This isn't something like I would use an app on my smartphone because I scan very rarely. This is someone who uses scanning a lot, and I think absolutely it's worth it.
I feel I'm scanning more now than ever. I don't know what's going on. I seem to be scanning all the time, scanning my mail. I'm scanning everything. And it's because I think I'm getting more mail from the doctor that is, and I guess other places too.
Oh, this is turning into honestly, a doctor's waiting room, this show.
I know, it does feel that way.
Day.
But of course, I know they say, and I know they do say that you can get your information delivered to you in an accessible format. The truth is, though, that actually slows everything down. Like I used to get letters that were on CD. I used to send them, and still do actually on occasion, send them on CD.
I still get them. I don't have a CD player in my house. But,
no.
I still get them.
But actually, what I used to find was that I would get the letter, and if there was an appointment on the letter would arrive after the appointment because it would take so long to get it turned into audio. So I actually called up and said, you know what, just take all that option away, please. Just send me the regular letter, and I'll use my software or whatever to scan the letter. And
stand aside, I'll do it myself.
Yeah, well, do you know what? I kind of felt that was a good idea. I mean, I know a lot of people got upset about the whole accessible information thing, and more. And I, of course, you should be able to get access to whatever you need. But the thing is, if it starts to cause more problems and new problems, like I'm having to wait forever to get the letter and actually miss important appointments and things, that's not good.
No, then you shout about it and make them fix it. You don't run away and find a workaround, Stephen Scott. You make them fix it.
Fix that as well.
Although
what else? I'll just run this world, shall I? We'll just run the world, make you happy.
You've got to get on with life.
Exactly.
You know what? I hate to admit it. I don't bother with post anymore. I don't scan it. I ignore it. I throw it away.
That's the way to do it. Yeah, excellent. Yeah. I think that explains a lot of your health conditions, Shaun Priest. I think it explains a lot of other things as well.
Listen, if they're not talking to me via email or via the phone, and any appointments made, then I'm making them with a receptionist over the phone. I don't deal with mail whatsoever.
It's so funny because all you hear about is how governments want to move to digital, and yet how analog it really is.
Yep, please do. The amount of, I've dealt with one recently, and I said, I want to opt out of this. I don't need it. And I was told, well, you need to sign a form, fill it in, sign this form, and send it back to us. I said, well, can we do that through email? No.
Has to be a form.
Well, I've got to get someone to help me fill this in. Have I? Yes. Well, sorry, I'm just not going to do it.
I mean, I had a support worker at work when I was at the RNIB, and I had taxi support as part of what you get through Access to Work, so I could get into the office. And I actually, one of the duties of my support worker was to actually fill in the paperwork for her and the taxi company, because it all required to be handwritten. Handwritten.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't even take a form and put it into the computer and then fill it in there. Although that would have been a nightmare in itself, because obviously it was just a scanned form. I'd have to figure out how to turn it into something accessible to actually use. But they wouldn't accept that. It had to be handwritten. All I could do was scan the document, or if I wanted to, scan the document, try and read it, which of course wasn't easy with handwriting. And then I had to sign the document. More often than not, I was signing paperwork I had no idea what was written on at all. I mean, I was very lucky to be around people I could trust. Because honestly, they could have written anything on that form. They could have been claiming thousands and thousands of pounds in my name. I would have had no idea because I couldn't read the form.
Hey, we've heard stories.
And they were telling me, oh, well, this isn't right and that's not right. And I can't see the form. I have no idea. I don't know.
And that's the thing, right? It's not.
It takes all your independence away, and it kind of, there's an element of, and I think you're at this stage where you kind of just think, oh, screw it, just whatever. And I was in that frame of mind. I thought, you know what, okay, fine. But the problem was then there would be other things that needed done, and my support worker didn't have any hours left because she'd spent 2 hours doing this, and this is ridiculous. This is so stupid. Now, they have moved on in the UK with that. Now you can at least email in the forms, but it was so ridiculous. It really was. Here's the best bit.
Still surprises me when I hear that. No, sorry, you can't email it in, or no, there's no digital. There's no way to do it other than pen and paper.
You used to have to send in the taxi invoices. You have to send in her invoices. You have to send in all the paperwork to go with it. You weren't allowed to photocopy it, or at least because my thinking was, well, we'll photocopy it, and then, as often did happen, it would get lost in the mail. It actually would always get lost because so many of these forms are going into this one place that inevitably things were going to fall away. Well, I say inevitably, they shouldn't have, but they did, and. It was just amazing that, the amount of times they would say, oh, we didn't get that form. Can you send it again? But don't send photocopies. Okay, so now I have to do all that work again.
Okay.
It was ridiculous.
Okay. Shh. It's very terrible.
What are we talking about? This. Oh, DocuScan's great.
DocuScan's great. I'm interested in the email client. How often have we been saying and moaning and whinging about...
whining and moaning.
A nice email client. I did not know Pneuma Solutions did one. I want to check that out.
Can I tell you something? When I was going through the process of purchasing the DocuScan software, I was so intrigued by the amount of, because they basically go through this whole thing when you're going through the purchase process. It gives you all these options of different software you can buy.
Have you forgotten this? Do you want to buy this?
Oh, hang on, no. This was a list you actually wanted to read. It wasn't like skip all this. I was fascinated by the amount of applications and things. I had no idea. I thought Cero was like an internet radio library. I didn't know it had all these other things in it, like email clients and stuff. Now, you do have to, I think you have to pay extra for some of these things, or I think you sign up to like a one subscription or something. I didn't do that, but I was intrigued by it all, and it is something I'm going to revisit because, again, I mean, look, I'm happy with Outlook. I can use Outlook, unlike you. So, I'm fine with it. But you, on the other hand, I think we absolutely should get this for you in an absolute heartbeat. Not a Stephen Scott heartbeat, obviously, because that's a bit erratic.
Is Pneuma Solutions like Dolphin in the fact that we sort of overlook them? I just didn't know they had that stuff. I just assumed, as you did, it was Cero Talk or whatever it was back in the day, and that was it. But very interesting. Okay, thank you, Stan.
Well, we're going to be getting Mike Calvo on very soon, so I want to investigate all this more with him because I do feel there's a little bit of a hidden gem here that we should crack open a bit more for people. Because, there's a great opportunity here to learn about all these things. And I kind of want to know about the longevity plans for these products as well, because if it's been around for a while, is there a reason why no one's talking about it? So, let's figure this out, because I'd love to know more about these things. Because if there's accessible solutions out there for, say, a one-time purchase, I think people might be interested in that. especially considering the experience I've had with Pneuma Solutions. Remote Incident Manager, the software I use for getting into my computer. Honestly, I love it because I can work. I was at my mum's one day and I had to get a show away, and we recorded the show, but I didn't edit the show. And I thought, how am I going to be able to do this quickly? And I remembered, of course, here I have this beautiful Mac Studio at home, and I've got a really fast internet connection, but I'm sitting here with a MacBook, in my mum's house on her internet, and I'm trying to do the same thing. Now, the MacBook can absolutely do all this stuff, but all the files and everything were on my home computer. And I thought, well, hang on. So I remote incident managered into my computer, and it was amazing. I was able to. Well, it was amazing. I was able to use them.
You were trying to figure out if you said that right.
I know. I was trying to see if I got that right. But I got into the system. I got doing what I needed to do. It was flawless, and I think it's because what they've done. The kind of the absolute pinnacle here is the ability to stay inside the machine, to be almost locked into the machine that you're going into. There's a keyboard command to get out again, so you can easily get back out. But the fact is, when you're in that machine, you don't have to worry about accidentally command tabbing on the Mac's case, out of the application, which is containing that session. You're in the machine you're on, and everything you do on that machine works exactly as you would expect. So if you're going from Mac to Mac, it's flawless. It really is. And of course, it's all dependent on your network connections. If you're on a train or you're en route somewhere and you're reliant on 4G, 5G, whatever, that may be, your mileage will literally vary. But that's the case with anything. Yeah. But it's the fact that you're kind of locked into that system. You sit down at a cafe, I can get some work done, but I'm using the computer at home. It's really opened that up to me in a really positive way, and I'm really enjoying it. And it's strange, correct? Because the only thing I'd say with that company is I wish they would change that name, because Remote Incident Manager makes it sound very serious. And I kind of think that it would be kind of cool if they could make it a bit more like Remote Access Manager or something. You know what I mean? Just because it feels like every time I'm connecting to my computer, it's because someone's broken down somewhere in a car.
Yeah, no.
But no, I love it. I absolutely love it. It's brilliant.
Again, going back to what you said about DocuScan, it just works so well with a screen reader. It's just amazing. Yeah, I agree.
You're listening to Double Tap.
Get in touch with Double Tap. Email feedback at doubletaponair.com. Leave us a voicemail at 1-877-803-4567. And now you can send an audio or video message to us on WhatsApp. That number is 1-613-481-0144.
Okay, let's get back to the messages. And Pete is up next.
Hi, Stephen, Shaun, and all Double Tappers. Pete in Robin Hood County, hoping all is well. Thank you for all previous issues, especially CSUN. It must have been very hard work, but rewarding. It was much appreciated, and thank you. To help a listener out, I think his name was Dave, and he was talking about apps for navigation, as he was talking about Wikitrip. Indoors, I use an app called Clew, C-L-E-W, an oldie but goodie. There is somewhere in the Apple Viz archives a demonstration by Thomas Donville, who did an excellent demonstration of the app. It was good. But all you do basically is, if you're going in a building, say to a hotel, you go to the reception, you're told where your room is, so you open up the Clew app, set off the recording. Once you've followed instructions, it's pretty simple. And the person who's with you, who's guiding you, you can hold your phone out and they can do the guiding. Save the route at the end, because when you go back to the reception, it'll play it back when you play the record button again, or play the route back. I can't remember which one it is. I've not used it since last year. I did the same last year with a hotel, and I've saved the routes I need now, because we're going again this year. For outdoors, it depends. If it's a busy area, I use haptic nav because it's all haptics, vibrations, etc. If it's a reasonably quiet area like where I live, then I use VoiceVista because I can take the guidance from the app there. I have my markers to the post box and the bus stop and that kind of thing. Those are two apps that I use mainly. I hope that helps. Anyway, again, thank you for all the recordings. I do not live in a tree anymore. I live on a housing estate close to a country park.
Oh.
Might be a good idea, actually, if Shaun of the Shed did a quick demo of how to use VoiceVista.
Oh.
Might be interesting, that, for people that haven't used it. I know my subs are due in June, so I'll be updating it, upgrading it, whatever they call it anyway. Anyway, again, thank you for all the good shows and the emails. I love them too. I learn a lot. Anyway, enjoy and take care from a very warm conservatory in Robin Hood County.
Oh, nice.
Oh, very nice. Oh, la-di-da. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no trees. Well, plenty of trees, but not living in one. That's good news. I may have suggested that last time. Sorry, Peter.
The Clew app for indoor navigation. Now, I must admit, I haven't used this in a long time. The idea was great, and actually, in practice, it did work well. The thing I found is that if you weren't sort of returning to the same place a lot, then, recording a route, like Peter said there, he's going to a hotel which he's already got routes recorded for, makes total sense. But I tended not to just not use it. I'm not entirely sure why.
I think sometimes it's because, well, in your case, you're an idiot.
Yeah, that's true.
Because, first up, you are. I call you the bumbler when we're out and about. I've heard of the Joker. I guess I'm the Joker. You're the bumbler.
All right.
I don't know who the penguin is, but we'll figure that one out. But let's not decide that here. Oh no, that's not nice. Well, that would actually make sense in some ways. When you think, no, let's not go there. Yeah, Clew is cool. I mean, I think it's because honestly, when you go to a place, we've experienced this so many times, is the real world factor, as I often talk about, which is you get there, someone might take you to the room, you're tired, you've had a long day traveling. The idea of just another thing you have to do, which is to, just pull out the phone and do this other thing and this other step, it sometimes just feels a little bit too much, even though it has all the value that it will have, which is to get you to the hotel room and ideally back to reception again.
That's
but we
a use
just kind of
case,
sense, so be it, we'll just live with it, Maybe if the Meta Ray-Bans could, or something similar could do that themselves, it was built in, you could say just start a route,
Convenient, yeah. We talked about the Stellar Trek thing about convenience of it, and that's exactly right. I mean, I'm thinking, how many times do I stay in a hotel? And yes, okay, my room to the elevator, that would be a use case, absolutely. Reception, maybe the restaurant, whatever it may be, a route that you may use quite a few times over a couple of days, fine. But I'm thinking, a bar to a table in a bar to wherever the toilet is. That's something it's too complicated to do.
Yeah, and try doing that at night in a bar,
Yeah.
Good luck trying to hear any of that and make sense of any of it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And this is where you just turn around and use your old, good old-fashioned tongue in your head and say, can you help me out with this,
Yeah, that's right.
And that's it,
And VoiceVista, yeah, I agree. Absolutely fantastic VoiceVista. I'm not sure I feel qualified to do a tutorial on VoiceVista because there's a few things in there which I'm not 100% sure on how to use them. It's one of those apps that I've used every single day, but I haven't really dug into it. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I'd be missing out a lot of things. I'd have to take a bit of a deep dive into it, I think.
Do you know what? I think that's the point, though, right? I mean, it's like you're coming at it like everybody else is. I think that's the point. I've often feel sometimes I hold myself back from doing reviews on things because I think, I don't know every single thing there is to know about this thing. But isn't that the point in some ways? Anyway, more on that to come. Double tap on air /subscribe. Good website to go to. If you want to catch up with what's coming up on Double Tap, lots of exciting stuff coming down the line in the next couple of months, and you can hear about it first by subscribing to Double Tap. And
And how do you do that, Stephen Scott?
doubletaponair.com /subscribe. And you can go there and you can subscribe to what is coming. We're going to have a cool newsletter coming and possibly some additional content.
Oh, stop it now.
Tease. Okay, let's go to Mark and let's hear what he has to say.
Hi, Shaun and Stephen. Since iOS 18, I've been having issues with email. I'm not getting my notification sound. And I know it was a bug, and it got fixed after 18.2, I believe, and then when 18.3 came out, or maybe it was 18.3 it got fixed, and then when subsequent versions of 18.3 came out, it got broken again, and supposedly fixed in 18.4, but I'm not getting the sound for all of my emails, and I can't track it down to a specific reason why or why not. The only thing I can think of is, and it's not always the case, the majority of the time that I get the email sound, the one I picked is the airport bell sound, do 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 do. It's very cool. But I get it, and I'm thinking maybe it's for the emails that I have in my contacts. But then I get something and it's not. And there doesn't seem to be no rhyme or reason to it. So is it still broken, or am I broken? And how can I fix it, if at all? Thanks so much.
Okay, well, if you're broken, I've got to say I'm broken too, because I have exactly the same. I very rarely, if at all, get an email notification. And after your message here, I did look in and I noticed that everything's turned on and I have banners and, everything turned on, except the sound was set to none. I have no idea why. I didn't set it. It's always as default, however it comes. The sound was set to none. So I did pick a sound, but today I've received no pings or dings or da-da-da-da-da-da-da, whatever there was. It's still not working. I have no idea. I've never got email notifications.
So I get email, but I use Outlook, right? I don't use the mail app. I don't get any notifications for that because I've turned them off. Simple as that.
Okay.
So I turned that off.
Maybe that's it.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I use the Outlook one, and that's fine. Weirdly, though, I don't get any WhatsApp notification noises at all.
Yeah, I know. That's strange. Yeah, sometimes mine does do that as well.
Now, again, it's not consistent because sometimes it does do it, and sometimes I get nothing. It's really, really weird. I don't get it. And the notification thing on iOS has been very buggy for a while. I'm hoping, of course, we've got iOS 19 that's going to be talked about very soon, in June, in fact, at WWDC. I just really want them to fix a lot of this stuff. There's a lot of things that I feel are just left to languish inside these operating systems, and it worries me because they move on and they want to bring in new features, but they're not really addressing the issues, and a lot of things carry on. And this is fundamental stuff, right? I mean, notifications, it's not an accessibility thing. This is for everybody. And, goodness knows they are pushing the fact that notifications is a big deal. They made it into part of Apple Intelligence. Although I did see someone the other day saying that, that, again, with Apple Intelligence, the notification summaries are just horrendous. Someone had got a message. Now, bear in mind, Apple Intelligence had taken the messages, grouped them together, and came up with a summary. The summary was, Dad had a stroke. It turned out that he didn't have a stroke. He was absolutely fine. But it's just that the word stroke was in a previous message because he had had a stroke at one time in his life. And then it kind of got that mixed up with Dad and something else, and, something's going on.
It
came up as Dad had a stroke. And it's like,
so
really?
Yes, really. Yeah, that makes total sense to me. It's summarizing a list of messages. Of course that's going to happen. I see these stories all the time trying to...
That's not good, though. Come on. That's not... I mean, that's just not correct.
What do you expect?
I mean, first off, it didn't happen. That didn't even happen.
What, he had a stroke previously that was still in the conversation list?
Yes, he had a stroke previously, but Dad had a stroke?
Yeah, he did have a stroke. He had one before. It doesn't...
No, I don't buy that. It's like the news alerts were the same. There were some horrendous summaries of news alerts that were just not accurate at all. And, it should be better than that. It really should be. And if it's not good enough, it shouldn't be released.
Turn it off then.
Well, yeah, but it shouldn't even be released. They are testing this stuff, right?
I find it incredibly useful.
Well, what is this Apple Intelligence team actually doing in their offices? Are they just sitting having coffee and playing ping pong? I mean, come on. What's going on in there? I mean, I know that everybody who's leading that team is pretty much gone now, and they've got new people in. Thank goodness.
Oh, he's off.
No, I mean, seriously, it was not good. What was actually released was trash, quite frankly. It was just trash.
Okay, I know.
And it needs to be fixed from the ground up if need be. So turn the damn thing off and start again.
No, sorry. No, I will not be silenced, Stephen
You will
Scott.
be silenced. If I could figure out how this thing worked, I could silence you, but I can't. So
I
please
think the
carry on.
summaries are actually really good. You have to,
No, they're not. They're terrible.
You got to limit your expectations. No, look, you can have your
Wow,
your,
here's a classic. Oh,
What?
no. You know the problem, Stephen? Your expectations were set too low. Lower
you were
them.
yeah, okay, all right. I think it's fine. Carry on.
I silenced them. That worked out well. Right, up next is Rhonda.
Not talking
Hello,
to you.
Stephen. I just heard your comment about turning off audible traffic indicators at crossings during the night so that people living close by are not disturbed. This is a pet peeve of mine. Are we, as blind people, not supposed to go out after dark?
Nope.
Where I live, the audibles are turned down at night time, but there are other places where they are turned off completely. I wonder if they stop those pesky buses, trucks and cars and their noisy engines and beeping horns and screeching brakes at night so that they don't disturb people's sleep.
Yeah.
I guess not. Cheers, Rhonda and Guide Dog Coco in Queensland, Australia.
Aww.
Oh, that was
Rhonda and
fantastic. That's it. You were absolutely right. Yes, I totally agree. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, I feel you had more to say on that. I don't know. That do you know what that felt like? That felt like an Apple Intelligence summary of what you were actually thinking.
No, you know what? It's just she's put it so well. And there's no argument there that she didn't say that I could add to. It was absolutely correct. Yeah, they mute the crossings so they don't disturb other people. Oh, great. So what do we do? What do we do? Don't go out at night.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, look, I've had it in the past before. When I used to go I used to go to work. This was a long time ago in rush hour, and I'd get on the bus, and people would say, you know, you really should be traveling, you know, off peak, you know, after 10, you know, because you know, especially you know, about the time I had a guide dog. I was 19. This is how far back it was. I was 19. I was getting on the bus to go to work. I had my guide dog with me. And they were complaining because the dog and me were taking up too much room on the bus that was already full of people trying to get to work. You know, unlike me, who was just clearly wasting my own time as much as theirs. And
you didn't have a job.
And when I explained to them, when I explained to someone, you know, I'm actually going to work as well, there was like a, yeah, right.
Yeah, bless.
Yeah, it's like he thinks he is. You know, look at him sitting there thinking he's got a job. He's probably going to go to just hammer nails into a block of wood or something, you know, just for fun. Weave a basket or whatever it is you do for fun, you know, you blind people. I just honestly, and I don't know if you heard the story. I think it was out of the US where someone had hacked into the light signals. Did you read that story?
I did, yes, and it was one of those. This is incredibly humorous, and to be fair, it was. But the other side to this was, well, that made them inoperable for people that needed to use the audible crossings, right?
Yeah.
For blind people. So instead of beep, beep, beeping, it would play a clip, some AI-generated Elon Musk voice. You know, it was a political stance against something. And, okay, all for it. But it made them unusable for us.
Well, I'm not all for it. Sorry. I think that those people should have been jailed, quite frankly, for that kind of carry on. No, I think they should because, look, you're messing around with something that we need, that is, you know, that could impact on us. You know, I'm sorry, but that is dangerous. You know, I'm all for, of course, I'm all for political statements and free speech and all the rest of it. I
for it, did I?
I think you just said I'm all for it. That's exactly the words you just said. I'm all for it.
Okay. Okay.
I don't think you meant to say that, but that's what you said.
No, I didn't. I didn't mean to say that. No, I understand it, and it almost comes across as, this isn't harming anyone. This is humorous. This comes across as a prank. But as I said,
if you don't consider anybody else on the planet,
yes, as a lot of the time we are overlooked.
Yeah. It's a sad world we're in at the minute, isn't it? It's a very sad world. Anyway, let's move on. Peter wants to talk about uncontracted braille.
Hi guys, I hear you talking from time to time about contracted braille, that it's hard to learn. My humble opinion is that it's actually not. I'm a native Hungarian speaker. English is my second language. To learn contracted braille didn't take me more than 2 weeks, 30 minutes by day, on average. What I did was just read Syndicated Columnists' weekly magazine, issued by NBP. At first, of course, I had to look up a handy braille table on the contractions I met every time, but at the 5th time you'll meet one, you'll learn it, I can guarantee. If you only use contracted braille in a passive way, I mean you read but not write, knowing the contractions passively is perfectly enough. What I want to say is that it is enough to recognise them. It is not a huge effort, although at the beginning it can seem to be. I even managed to learn French contracted braille, braille abrégé in its original name, which is way more complicated than the English system. The reading speed can be heightened significantly with these methods, and you only have to learn it once. If you use it from time to time, the contractions will come out easily from memory. At least they behave like this in my case, and believe me, I'm not a particularly smart man. So my advice is try it, guys. You'll get yourself familiar with contracted Braille faster than you would imagine. I like the show. It became a staple element of my daily routine. So keep up the good work and don't be afraid of contracted Braille. Peter from Budapest or Banistan.
Thanks for that, Peter. Appreciate it. Yeah, look, I mean, I get it. I think it's mindset as well and time. It's a lot of things going on. You know, I think for me, it's always a bit of an excuse sometimes because you think, well, I absolutely could learn it, but there's always something else in the way. And this is why I say, you know, if you're a kid and you're learning this at school, I think it's fundamental to your learning. And I mean that. I just don't know if it's necessarily the same. It's not that it's not. Well, I mean, there is an element of it's difficult to learn. I think I do stand by that. I think it is more challenging to learn when you're older. But I also wonder how much we need it in later life, because I think we use Braille. For those who are coming to vision loss later in life, I think you are at a different place. You know, you're maybe learning a screen reader is more important than learning learning Braille fully, you know, but Braille can be really useful. It can be really useful in the elevator. It can be really useful if you want to, you know, quickly check medicine packaging or something. That's where it's really useful. I don't know how many of us are losing our vision and then in our 60s or our 50s or our 70s or whatever, going on and then, you know, presenting presentations to the World United Blindness Nation.
Well done.
People. Yes. I don't know. You know,
did you read that from Braille, Steve?
I did, yeah, can you tell? But, you know, that's the thing. I don't know how many people are going off to do that. And if they are doing it, they're probably doing it a different way. And, you know, I think it's because, frankly, it would be to get to the point where you can actually read fluently in Braille would take a huge amount of time. And I know for many, those who had a bit more time when lockdown happened, I know some people, and I kind of wish I had more time, but I honestly didn't. I just didn't have the time. I was working at the time. I was doing double tap when I was working for RNIB, and I just honestly had no time at all. And I kind of heard all these people talk about, I just learned how to make sourdough. And I'm thinking, I'm trying to work out how to remote into 15 computers and keep, you know, a staff happy and, you know, make everybody, you know, get to, you know, do what they need to do.
On air through servers.
And keep a radio station on there, exactly. And, you know, and do this and do everything else and, have a life in between and bang the pots and pans for the NHS and do all the stuff I had to do. So, you know, I think time was tight. And, you know.
It sounds like you're getting a bit defensive, Stephen.
No. What I mean is I kind of wish I had that time because I would have actually used it for that purpose. In fact, funnily enough, back then, I was thinking, God, this would be a great time to learn Braille because I feel I'm literally at the same desk noon and night.
It's the same as anything.
But it just didn't happen.
How many times? It's like me trying to learn Reaper. The fact of the matter is,
never going to happen.
You need to set that time out. You know what? I don't care what I'm doing. I'm going to do that 30 minutes a day or whatever it is to complete this task. If you do that, then you do, you know, pick it up.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
I think
consistency.
It is consistency, but I think if you start with grade 1 and you kind of even level off at grade 1, you're going to find very quickly that is useful to you. And
absolutely.
I think the problem is when people start saying, because it's like, you know, you get these people, there are always these people, right? LinkedIn is full of them. You get on there and it's like, I've just completed this thing. And it's like, good for you. You know, great, I'm happy for you. But truth be told, most of us are just trying to get through the day. You know,
you should be happy for them.
No, of course. I can't be happy for
everybody. On you.
I can't be happy on everybody all the time. You know, it's like, look, I'm trying to what I cannot stand is you get these people that say, you know, you should just exceed, you should set your goals higher, do this, you know, aim higher. You know, good for you. Just, you know, for me, getting out the front door to go to the shop is enough, frankly. So, you know, I'll deal with that today. You know, I get the bus to the hospital last week. You know, I've gone on about it 15 times here because honestly, to me, that was a bit of an achievement. You know,
going on about it. Good for you. Oh, don't lecture me about getting on a bus and going to the hospital, Stephen Scott. See what I did there? Turned it round. Thanks.
Okay. Sorry, I'll shut my mouth.
I don't know the point I was even trying to argue there, to be honest. Now I'm kind of lost.
Yeah, I think, how ironic, you and lost.
Yeah.
Seems so appropriate. Listen, I think we've got time for one more, probably maybe two more, but we'll see how we go. This is Grace, who's been back in touch.
Hello, Steve. Hello, Shaun. It's Grace here from Selkirk. I thought I'd leave you another message, and it's okay if you want to play that. That's fine. But you were talking about your CD collection, and I wondered what your favourite music was. You know, between the two of you, I wondered what you liked. But I'm a huge Beatles fan. I like the 60s and 70s stuff. I'm a huge Beatles fan. I like Gilbert O'Sullivan. But my favourite song of all time, I must say, I like a good song with great chords in it. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Oceans Away by Terry Davis. And if a song's got got good chords in it for me, I'll tell you, I love it. It's my very favourite. I would say it's my favourite song of all time. So anyway, take care of the two of you. You're still making me laugh, and I love your banter. I really do. So I look forward to hearing you today later on. Okay then, I'll speak soon. Bye.
Thank you, Grace.
I love Grace. I love you, Grace. You sound so happy. That's beautiful. Your favourite song, Stephen Scott, because you honestly, you don't shut up about your CD collection and ripping them. You must have ripped them all about 1,000 times.
Oh, I have. I don't know how many times I've done it. I'm about to start again. Do you know, it's very hard to do that, Grace, right? Because I like all kinds of stuff. I mean, I'm not, you know, these people that kind of tell you, they'll listen to anything, but then you start naming artists and they go, never heard of them. Oh, hate that. But I'm probably one of those to some extent. I'm kind of like, I like some things, but I don't know what I could pin it down to. I mean, country music I say I like, and then people often immediately just get you in a headlock of, well, you must just listen only to Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton. And I like a Dolly and Kenny, no problem with that. But it's more
when to hold them.
Oh, that reminds me, actually. If you're sending in a message to us, double tappers, if you've got music in the background, could you please turn it off? Just pause the music for a minute, just because we are on YouTube now, we are on a podcast, and these things flag up. So we do our bit. We do our bit here to try and dull that down in the background. But if you are playing music in the background, can you just turn it off?
Yeah, stop it.
Keeps us on the right side of you know who.
Mr. F.
So you're a country and western fan is what we're coming down to. And Grace, I like any 80s rock, AC/DC, Def Leppard, Motley Crue. Anything I listened to while I was at college is what I still listen to now because I never grew up.
One album that I'll never forget when I think about it, because it was my school years, and I was in secondary school, end of secondary school, and I remember Alanis Morissette came out with Jagged Little Pill. Which dates me a little bit. That was it. There was Ironic, which wasn't ironic, and there was many other songs that she did, which I loved on that album, and I listened to it that whole summer. And I remember we just listened to it on repeat, and that album sticks out. Now, I wouldn't say I'm the biggest Alanis Morissette fan because it's a bit like I used to love Richard Marx. I don't know if you ever remember him. And, he only ever had one album that really anybody ever knows. And it was called his Greatest Hits, which made me laugh because I didn't know he'd even had any other hits. Everything on that album was what I knew. That was it. But no, I like going back. I mean, there's an album, which is funny. When I talk about ripping CDs, there's one album that I have to rip in because I can't find this album anywhere else. The versions of the songs on this album, it seems to always be like live versions or other types of versions or older versions. It's never just this particular album, and it sticks out for very personal reasons, just family stuff, songs that can just take you right back to a place.
That's what music's for. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, one song in particular, which I wouldn't say is my favourite song in the world, but it sticks out for me, was Starship's Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now from the movie Mannequin, but it's not where I remember it from. It was because it was the very first time, that was the very first song I ever heard on CD. And I remember my dad placing a pair of headphones on my head, plugging in to a CD player, a part of a separate set, as
size
he
of
had.
A suitcase.
Yep. And he put this on. He said, "Listen to this," and he pressed play on the Hits album number 6, track 10. And it was, I think that's right, because 9 was Alison Moyes' "Week in the Presence of Beauty." That's very Anaraki. But yeah.
All right, Mr. DJ.
I know. That's how you think. But yeah, that was the song I remember hearing for the very first time. I was blown away at the sound quality.
Mine was the Eagles' Hotel California.
Oh, it's a good one.
CD I heard, and that was amazing. Yeah, that's a good question as well. Your first first song on CD. Yeah,
It was an Eagles album. I remember being in a store and they were selling a surround sound kit for a television. They had it all wired up and they were playing an album, and it was an Eagles album. And I had no idea what the song that was playing I hadn't heard before. And it was a song called Love Will Keep Us Alive, which was on a live album they did called, or a live concert they did called Hell Freezes Over. Yeah. And I remember hearing it, and I remember going up to the guy and asking, okay, can you turn that up and can I hear it? And I was really enjoying it. And he's like, okay, so you ready to buy now, sir? And I'm like, I don't want that. I want the DVD. I don't want the player. I want this thing that's in it. Give me that. He wouldn't give me it. I had to go and buy it from another store. Thankfully, those
he
days
wouldn't
I could.
give it you.
No, he wouldn't.
What, for nothing?
What, you don't? It's only DVD you got in the store? Seriously?
What? Why is he giving it to you for nothing? Who do you think you are, Stephen Scott?
He wasn't selling it. He was selling the CD DVD player thing.
Okay, all right. Very good.
We're out of time. But thank you as always. Thank you for that, Grace. I fear there will be many emails following up on that one. First song you had on CD. Yeah, goodness, because there was a different time then. Just sounded so different, right? Coming from vinyl, the cassette tape and all that. Yeah. Anyway, we're out of time, but we're back tomorrow with plenty more. So I was going to say, don't change the dial, but I guess you don't do that anymore. Away. I'm getting old. We're back tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.